In the Harry Potter universe, many things happen, but we only see the point of view of Harry Potter. Surely, there are things that are never explicitly shown. Here is a list, and if you think about other elements, don't forget to share it in the comments. Something that happens but is never explicitly shown is the education of young wizards and witches in basic subjects like math, English, geography, and more. While the books and movies primarily focus on their magical education at Hogwarts, it's reasonable to assume that these essential subjects are taught to them before arriving at the wizarding school. According to J.K. Rowling, parents have the choice to either homeschool their children or send them to Muggle schools for this basic education. The reason for this is that very young children pose a constant danger of using magic inadvertently or deliberately. It's essential to ensure they receive a fundamental education while keeping their magical abilities hidden from the Muggle world. However, the specifics of how these subjects are taught in the wizarding world are not explored in the books. This raises questions about the literacy and numeracy levels of pure-blood families who might not send their children to Muggle schools, potentially running on centuries-old knowledge. It's also unclear whether there are dedicated classes or subjects at Hogwarts for these basic skills. It's possible that some of these subjects are integrated into other magical classes, such as transfiguration or potions. While the wizarding world lacks modern technology, it's reasonable to assume that they would have some form of education in essential non-magical skills. This aspect of the Harry Potter universe raises interesting questions about the educational system, the curriculum, and the balance between magical and non-magical knowledge among young witches and wizards. Next, the everyday domestic life of characters like the Malfoy family is never shown. While we see their involvement in the dark arts and their loyalty to Voldemort, we rarely get a glimpse into their more mundane interactions. For instance, we can imagine Narcissa Malfoy casually asking Lucius and Draco how their day was over dinner, perhaps with a touch of sarcasm, while Voldemort quietly eats mashed potatoes at the end of the table. It's an amusing contrast to the dark and intense moments that dominate the series, and it highlights the idea that even in a world of magic and darkness, there are moments of normalcy and humor in the lives of these characters. Let's mention the use of the Accio spell in moments of frustration when searching for something that has been misplaced, like keys or wallets. When a wizard or witch uses Accio angrily, the lost item is summoned and flies directly out of their pocket, or in the case of glasses, they might slip down off their head and land on the bridge of their nose, adding a comical twist to the situation. Sometimes, when using the spell, it can result in overdoing it, and the summoned object might hit the caster in the face, causing even more frustration. This humorous aspect of the wizarding world is not explicitly shown in the books or movies, but adds a touch of realism and humor to magical everyday life. One other aspect that is never explicitly shown but heavily implied is the existence of substances like wizard weed, as hinted by characters like Mundungus Fletcher, who is frequently seen smoking a pipe with green, stinky smoke. This subtle reference suggests the presence of recreational substances within the magical community, although the details are left to the reader's imagination. Additionally, fans have often wondered why characters don't use magic more extensively in their everyday lives. Some readers find it puzzling that cheering charms aren't more widely used, considering their potential to bring happiness. Others question the existence of poverty in the wizarding world, given the ability to create spacious and luxurious homes with a simple spell. However, there might be rules and restrictions governing certain spells, and not all magical solutions are as simple as they seem. While it's established that you can't conjure something out of nothing, as stated by Hermione and governed by Gamp's elemental laws of transfiguration, there's ambiguity about what can be created. For example, conjuring living creatures raises questions about the line between living beings and inanimate objects, and whether magically created items are ephemeral or long-lasting. Muggle-born kids smuggling everyday Muggle stuff into Hogwarts. This includes items like ballpoint pens, tampons, notebooks, and even common stationery. These items are simple, inconspicuous, and make their lives at Hogwarts more convenient. It's interesting to consider that these students might prefer modern writing tools and other conveniences over traditional magical ones like quills and parchment. This leads to the idea of period magic in the wizarding world. While it's never explicitly mentioned in the books or films, it's conceivable that there are magical solutions solutions for issues like cramps and menstrual hygiene. Perhaps there are potions for cramp relief, robes charmed to repel bloodstains, or other magical items that make dealing with these everyday concerns easier for witches at Hogwarts. Additionally, Muggle-born students could potentially profit from selling modern stationery items to those tired of using quills and parchment. There's also speculation about magical alternatives to modern devices like vibrators and Game Boys, and how Hogwarts might deal with these Muggle inventions in a magical context. The romantic and intimate relationships between older students at Hogwarts. While it's not directly depicted in the books or movies, there are subtle hints and references that suggest such relationships. For example, in the movie Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, there's a deleted scene at the Yule Ball that implies two students were engaged in a romantic encounter in a carriage. Additionally, in Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, there's a moment when the Marauder's map shows two sets of footprints in a suggestive stance. These instances, along with the unique and often secretive nature of Hogwarts, lead fans to speculate about the romantic escapades of the students, with the Room of Requirement often coming to mind as a possible location for such encounters. This room is sometimes jokingly referred to as the come and go room, hinting at its potential uses for private moments. The presence of love potions and the Polyjuice potion in the wizarding world further fuels the imagination of fans, suggesting that Hogwarts students might have various means to explore their romantic interests discreetly. By the way, one thing that happens but is never explicitly shown is the roleplay involving Polyjuice potion. While there is a scene in Knockturn Alley where Harry knocks over a tray of fingernails sold by a witch, it's suggested that this could potentially be used for Polyjuice potion, allowing individuals to transform into someone else temporarily. There is the possibility of using Polyjuice potion for experimenting with different genders, as Hermione turning into Harry in the series. Polyjuice potion is capable of transforming a person entirely, including their gender, and this could lead to unique and private experiences for individuals. Crabbe does transform into a little girl, which is creepy. In the same vein, there is the use of a spell or potion called Engorgio. While the specific details aren't explained in the books or movies, it's implied that this magic could be used to enlarge certain body parts. However, the books and films do not explicitly depict or describe this magical application. Something that happens but is never explicitly shown is the dark potential of the Imperious Curse. While it is an unforgivable curse, it can be used for heinous purposes, such as human trafficking and non-consensual relations. The Imperious Curse has the power to control a person's actions and thoughts, and it can lead to extremely dark and harmful consequences. This is why it is a crime punishable by a lifetime in Azkaban, and its use is heavily discouraged and condemned within the wizarding world. Additionally, it's worth noting that love potions, which are legal in the wizarding world, can also be used for non-consensual purposes. These substances can lead to unwanted and unethical outcomes, further highlighting the potential for dark actions within the Harry Potter universe. Also, while we catch glimpses of the Department of Mysteries in the books and movies, it's highly likely that there are numerous other, even more enigmatic occurrences and artifacts that Rowling either couldn't or didn't want to delve into, fully due to the series' classification as children's literature. Consider the X-Files-like potential within the Department of Mysteries. Imagine a storyline that follows two unspeakables, agents responsible for investigating these mysteries. Their adventures could lead them to uncover even more perplexing and bizarre aspects of the magical world that remain hidden from the main narrative. Moreover, it's fascinating to contemplate how different ancient civilizations like the Aztecs, Mayans, and Incans, with their practices of human sacrifice, might have their own dark magic branches in the wizarding world. This adds a layer of dark and unsettling possibilities that we never get to see explicitly in the books or movies. While some argue that J.K. Rowling's approach to world-building was at times somewhat lazy, as she often resorted to post-hoc explanations, it's important to remember that the primary reason many things in the Harry Potter universe are left unexplored is not necessarily due to the constraints of a children's book, but rather the creative choices made by the author. Rowling's decisions to leave certain aspects mysterious or unexplained contribute to the enduring fascination with the series, allowing fans to speculate and imagine these hidden corners of the magical world. Next, the existence of magical factories and other businesses' jobs that support the wizarding economy. While we know of the Ministry of Magic and a few shopping streets like Diagon Alley, there has to be a broader infrastructure for economic activity in the wizarding world. Wealthy wizarding families like the Malfoys must have sources of income, and the system should be able to support the population. The lack of world building in this regard becomes particularly evident when considering the population size of wizards in the UK. Hogwarts, the primary wizarding school, has a relatively small number of students, and this raises questions about the scale of homeschooling in the wizarding community. For the Wizarding Society to function, there should be a significant number of homeschooled students, given the small enrollment at Hogwarts. The books, however, do not delve into this aspect of wizarding education. Additionally, there's the possibility that the number of wizards in the UK is quite low, which would explain the small student body at Hogwarts. Nevertheless, there are always crowds on the magical streets, suggesting a more substantial wizarding population. The lack of explicit mention of various industries and businesses in the wizarding world, as well as how they sustain themselves economically, is a gap in the world building of the Harry Potter universe. This raises questions about how wizards and witches make a living, especially in the absence of widespread evidence of conventional employment or businesses. One possible explanation for this lack of commercial infrastructure could be the convenience of magical transportation methods like apparition and flu networks, which reduce the need for numerous franchise-style stores and city centers. Instead of having many small businesses, wizards might prefer teleporting to larger, centralized locations in major cities, reducing the demand for traditional commercial enterprises. In essence, the Harry Potter series doesn't explicitly show how the wizarding economy functions or how various jobs and businesses support the magical society, leaving room for fan speculation and discussion about these world-building aspects. That is it for today. I hope you enjoyed discussing about the things we never see in the books. If you think about more, don't hesitate to share it with us in the comments section. Anyway, see you soon.